Good evening, everyone. My name is Sir Jude, and tonight rather, I will be having the video lecture for our lesson this morning, which is about electromagnetism. So, from our previous lesson, we established that electricity, which is about the relationship between positive and negative charges, or the protons and electrons, and magnetism, which is the relationship between the North Pole and the South Pole, are totally separate and distinguished branches of physics. So, was or were there a way or ways to bridge the two branches of physics as one? So, spoiler alert, the answer is yes, there were. Okay, with the help of five scientists that I'll introduce to you one by one, starting with Hans Christian Ørsted. So, to better illustrate how electricity and magnetism was fused, according to Hans Christian Ørsted, let's have his experiment using the FET simulation. Okay, just a minute. Ayan. So, before I start navigating these Ørsted experiments, no, let me just reiterate the materials that we're going to be featured here. So, you have a battery initially at 0 volts. Then the battery is connected to a coiled wire. Then beneath the coiled wire is a magnetic compass. The red needle points at the southern direction, while the white needle points at the northern direction. So as you can see, no, since the voltage of the battery is 0 volts, the electrons inside are not moving, and when I revolve the magnetic compass around the battery with the cold wire, nothing happens on the magnetic compass. No, its needles do not move at all. However, when I start increasing the voltage of the battery to the maximum, in this case it's 10 volts, no, you see that the electrons begin to move and the needles of the magnetic compass also begin to move as well. So, i-analyze natin yung findings ni Ørsted one by one. Okay. So scenario one is a wire without electric current because the voltage of the battery is 0 volts. So as a consequence, if a wire has no electric current, then there's no generated electric field and there's no generated magnetic field as well since hindi naman umikot yung needles ng magnetic compass. On the other hand, on scenario number two, we have a current carrying wire brought by the voltage of the battery, which is 10 volts. As a consequence, we now have a generated electric field and the needles of the magnetic compass begin to move. So there's a generated magnetic field as well. So in the two scenarios, the one wherein Ørsted's experiment worked is at scenario number two. And according to his findings in scenario number two, current carrying wires generate electric and magnetic fields. Or in Tagalog, ang alambre na nagkakarga ng kuryente ay nagdudulot o nagbibigay ng electric at magnetic fields. So whenever you see wires or cables or any other appliances that require the use of wires, no, then that's what that will now remind you of Hans Christian Ørsted experiment. All right. So he's the first scientist to fuse electricity and magnetism together. There will be four more. So the second scientist is André Marie Ampere. So when researching Ampere's contribution to electromagnetism, I found out that his findings were uh, analogous to that of Ørsted. Because kung babalikan natin yung scenario number two, no, wherein a current carrying wire generates electric and magnetic fields, no. Uh, Given this question, did electricity induce magnetism or did magnetism induce electricity? So, hindi gumalaw, gumalaw lang yung needle sa magnetic compass nung nag-apply tayo ng 10 volts dun sa battery. So, kailangang nag-exist muna before yung electric field bago yung magnetic field. So, in this case, Ampere's findings, no, based on Earth's experiment is that electricity induces magnetism. Or in Tagalog, kapag may kuryente or electricity, merong magnetism. By the way, no, Ampere is one of the very famous scientists because you will see or hear his name when it comes to appliances, outlets, and even gadgets, no? Because Ampere is the international unit of current, or in Tagalog, that's kuryente. So if the wire reminds you of Ørsted, then the current flowing inside the wire will remind you of Ampere. So they always, Ørsted and Ampere's findings always go together. All right. So the third one contradicts everything that Ørsted and Ampere established. No? So the third scientist is none other than Michael Faraday. And because his findings is a contradiction of Ørsted and Ampere's discoveries, then we have to use another PhET simulation to better understand where Faraday is coming from. Okay. So in this setup, you have a light bulb on the left, you have a wire at the middle, and you have a bar magnet on the right. We don't have any plugs, we don't have any electrical outlets, but we can lighten the bulb using the bar magnet. All you have to do is just, okay, place the bar magnet inside the coil of wire. However, if we just leave it there inside, no, we can see that the intensity or the brightness of the bulb is not permanent. It's only temporary. That's because you need to wrap the coiled wire tight onto the magnet para ma-distribute or kumalat palalo yung magnetic field and then mag-generate pa ng electric field and then para mas maging permanent yung intensity and brightness ng bulb natin. Now, how does this experiment differ from that of Ørsted's? So balik tayo sa PowerPoint presentation. Okay. So in scenario 3, no? So you have a bar magnet outside the coiled copper wire versus scenario 4 where you have a bar magnet inside the coiled copper wire. In scenario 3, since wala pa yung bar magnet sa loob nung copper wire, there's no magnetism running on the circuit, then therefore there's no electricity generated on the light bulb. No magnetism, no electricity. On the other hand, once I place the magnet inside the coiled wire, the bulb begins to light, although temporary nga lang, hindi siya permanent. So magnetic fields run through the circuit and electric field is generated or triggered as well, kaya umilaw yung bulb. So, in this case, wherein nag-work sa scenario number 4. Did electricity induce magnetism or did magnetism induce electricity? No? So, because nag-rely tayo sa placement ng magnet sa loob ng coil of wire para umilaw yung bulb, then therefore, Faraday's findings is that magnetism induces electricity. This is why, before I introduce Faraday to you, I mentioned that he contradicted Ørsted's and Ampere's findings. So, just a recap. If a wire reminds you of Ørsted and the current inside the wire reminds you of Ampere, then Faraday better remind you of a light bulb being lighted by a magnet without the help of any cables or outlets. All right. So, at this point, no, three scientists were enough para ma-fuse together yung studies about electricity and magnetism, and their studies, no, were the foundations for electromagnetism. So sa mga susunod na ano natin, na lessons natin, magkasama na natin itatakil ang concepts ng electricity and magnetism. Well, technically, we're done with the concepts from Ørsted down to Faraday because the next ones were more of application. But let's start first with James Clerk's James Clerk Maxwell's contribution to electromagnetism, which is basically by condensing the discoveries of the previous scientists, specifically Faraday and Ampere, and then we have Gauss. But spoiler alert, will not solve. We're not gonna use this equations because they're too difficult and they are not junior high school friendly. But what you need to know with Maxwell is that he was the one who developed mathematical equations for electromagnetism. So just to remind for those who were shocked by the difficulty of the equations that I presented to you from the previous slide, we will be using ones next week na are super easy, well, at least for me, and then junior high school friendly. But we'll save them for next week. Ano lang muna tayo ngayon? Puro lang muna tayo lessons and concepts. So, recap. Ørsted reminds of wire. Ampere reminds of the current inside the wire. Faraday reminds you of a bar magnet lighting up a light bulb inside the coiled wire. And James Clerk Maxwell reminds you of mathematical equations for electromagnetism. So for the first three scientists, puro tayo concepts. And then for the fourth scientist with Maxwell, we have problem solving. So with the next one, with Heinrich Hertz, no, this is where inventions of gadgets with electromagnetic waves begin. To be fair, hindi si Heinrich Hertz yung kumbaga nag-invent ng gadget na may electromagnetic wave, but sa kanya naging popular. And especially his contributions are very, uh, let's say, relatable to the generation nowadays. No? So one of the things that has evolved ever since the Stone Age, no, is our form of communication. Because before, our form of communication is through, and even today naman, is through speaking verbally, even nonverbal gestures. But when you're about to send a message from someone that is very far, you have to rely on writing, no? And several transportations para lang makakating yung letter. But of course, times change and necessity, no, is the mother of invention. Nagkakaroon na tayo ng several gadgets, no? And one of the earliest, like centuries ago, discovery was the radio, no? Which is used for communication, especially for long distances. Kaya you might be noticing, no, that in some radio designs, no, may mga naka-imprint na HZ, which is the abbreviation for Hertz. Because what Hertz did was He was the one who detected electromagnetic waves by producing radio waves in transmitters. So don't expect na ganun na sophisticated yung transmitters na gawa ni Hertz during his time compared to nowadays, no? We're in super high-tech na and state of the art. But one of the things na important when it comes to studying Hertz is that through him, no, nagkaroon na ng wireless technologies, no? So, sa kanya yung radio, and then eventually nag-evolve na into television, and then telephone, and then cell phone, and then several variations of cell phone. So, what's interesting about this lesson, no, about the five scientists is that we started with Ørsted na may wires, and then we ended up with Hertz na wireless, showing na the study of magnetism, has an evolution. So remember that the scientists existed like decades, centuries ago. And noon pa lang, nagkaroon ng development of wireless technologies even though yung cellphones like 30 to 35 or 40 years ago lang na kumbaga naging rampant. So ano pa kayang klaseng technology ang magkakaroon sometime in the near future, no? That's an interesting question to explore in the future. But we go back to Hertz, no? So bakit well, so sabi ko nga kanina, 'di ba? When you see radios, makakakita kayo ng sign na capital H, small z. So that is honored for Hertz because Hertz is used as the unit of frequency. So this is the reason why, no, radio stations have different frequencies. Imposibleng magkakaroon ng radio na may identical frequencies because magkakaroon ng prop interference when it comes to signal. Kaya every station, no, when you switch channels, no, have or has its own unique frequency, which is honored from Heinrich Hertz. All right. So, yun lang naman, the development of electromagnetism with the help of five scientists. We have Ørsted, Ampere, Faraday, Maxwell, and then Hertz. So, let's review them one by one. Explain the discoveries of each scientist that led to the development of electromagnetism in Filipino. So, ako naniniwala ako na mas maintindihan itong mga di naman kahirapan itong mga konseptong pinag-aralan natin. Pero kasi medyo mabibigat yung mga terminolohiyang ginamit. So para sa akin, mas maiintindihan siya kung isasali natin sa wikang Filipino. Pero hindi lahat ng mga terminolohiya sa Ingles na ginamit natin ay maisasali natin sa wikang Filipino, no? So doon tayo sa madali nating maiintindihan. So kay Hans Christian Ørsted, sabi ko kanina, ang bagay na dapat makakapagpaalala kayo sa inyo kay Ørsted ay ang mga wire o alambre. So ang alambre na may karga-kargang kuryente ay nakbubuo o nagdudulot ng electric at magnetic fields. Para naman kay Andre Marie Ampere, no, base sa eksperimento ni Ørsted, no, kung babalikan natin. So meron tayong compass na umikot dahil nagkaroon ng boltahe ang baterya. So kapag may elektrisidad o may electricity, may magnetismo. Magnetism. Okay? Next. Doon tayo kay Michael Faraday. So si Michael Faraday, kinontra niya, hindi naman sinabing mali, pero kinontra lang niya yung findings ng eksperimento ni Ørsted at ng suwestyon ni Ampere. So para kay Faraday, no, na napailaw yung bombilya gamit sa pamamagitan ng pagpasok ng magnet sa loob ng nakapulupot na alambre, no? Para kay Faraday, kapag may magnetism, may electricity. Okay? Next. Alam ko yung susunod na scientist medyo parang kontrabida sa inyo because a lot of you don't really like math and problem solving. But wala tayong magagawa. Yan ang magiging lesson natin next week. So for James Clerk Maxwell, no? Siya ang bumuo, konsepto, nagdathala ng mga mathematical equation na may kinalaman sa larangan ng electromagnetismo. So hindi man natin magagamit yung mga yan, may gagamitin tayo sa susunod na linggo na related din naman sa ginawa ni Maxwell. Okay, at ang kahuli-huli ang scientist ay si Heinrich Hertz. So siya ang nakadiskubre ng electromagnetic waves sa pamamagitan ng paggawa ng radio waves mula sa transmitter na nagamit sa pakikipaghalubilo sa komunikasyon sa mga malalayong lugar. Alright, so that's it for tonight. I hope na na-refresh ko kayo, lalo-lalo na sa lesson na ito. Yung lesson kasi natin, um, yung first lesson natin yesterday was super easy and this one medyo mabigat, no? So tomorrow, re-reviewin ko kayo in preparation for your first ever long test this quarter on Thursday. But in the meantime, good night, see you tomorrow, and stay safe.